Hi everyone, and everyone who wants to learn more about the world of coaching. I have a very special guest today, Sveta. It's always such a pleasure to meet you. And honestly, I've always been in awe because of your background, because you have such a wide range of experiences during your life. You've been like a national athlete, former CEO, inside coach. It's just. Yeah, I'm always in awe, and it's such a great time to speak with you and learn more about coaching. Yeah.
Thank you, Carlos. I mean, it feels nice sitting next to you, and I'm talking about some stuff. And the way you put it, I mean, it literally deserves like mini series on Netflix. But I think I'm like not only in the beginning of the journey. Let's not push for that. Then coming back to the coaching topic itself, then I think that this buzzword gets overused too much. And the connotation and meaning, what is it exactly, how it works, who is it for, is a bit foggy. So I'm really happy to use this opportunity, to clarify that a bit for any listeners or viewers which we have today.
Yeah. So, okay, can we start with the basics?
Sure.
Okay. Then explain to me, in layman's terms, what is coaching? So that everyone's on the same page. What is coaching for you, and how do you understand it?
All right. So I think I will explain sharply what it is, and I will give an example because it always works better with example to be kind of things to be relatable. So coaching for me is something like a process where you enter the space and you explore yourself, guided by the coach or facilitated by the coach. And this is where you see what is really underneath of what you're saying. And then once you understand what is driving your behavior, it's your choice to change it or leave it, right? Depending on what is the goal you're setting to you. And then to give you an example, that can be, let's take a client who is a CEO, and then he comes to the coaching session saying, I want to hire this chief of operational director, but to unload myself, to be, nicer, freer and all that. Yeah. But then he says, but I'm not sure about decision. I'm like, well, that sounds interesting, right? So you're hiring someone and you are not unsure about the decision you are making. And then when we explored, what lies beneath it, then we truly saw that, okay, this CEO, it's not that he wants to unload. He wants to unload himself from negative emotions, which he is feeling to some participants in his team. So when he saw that, he was like, aha moment, right? And that is his decision. If he wants to kind of pretend that it's not there, or really kind of open up, see what's there, and act on it. So his decision was to act on it. He figured out during coaching session who is it who triggers him the most, and he went, bravely into discussions, into one-on-ones to clean that up. And the team was more engaged, and he also benefited from this interaction.
Yeah, so basically it's like sometimes you just get carried away by the process and everything. You just get pulled into the little things, and the bigger picture just becomes a bit foggy.
Yeah. It's like sometimes you choose, I think, the convenient truth. Yeah. Instead of the real thing you have to face. Exactly, digging deep and facing it. Yeah, you're right, absolutely.
Okay, but then there's a coach, but what does a business executive coach do? Mm-hmm. How do they differ, and how would you explain that to the viewers?
You mean from the other coaches out there, or from mentors, consultants? Which area you would like to explore?
Just you gave a brief example, but going a bit deeper, about the business executive coaching. Of course, we can also touch upon the differences, because for me, I remember for quite some time before I met you, it was it's similar to therapist, coach, a consultant, they all
in one.
Yeah, all in one. Who are you?
Who are you? How you can help me, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay. I get your point now. The question is clear. I think it's best shown through examples. So indeed, let's imagine the HR of the big organization here, right? And that HR, she comes with a real struggle. It's really hard for her to open up and speak in public.
Yeah.
However, I will give you a hint without going into all the lengthy session we had. Yeah. However, the underlying belief is that that it's very rude to interrupt someone.
Yeah.
So let's imagine this person, this HR, she goes to the consultant. And she says, okay, I'm a little bit shy and it's hard for me to speak in public.
Yeah.
So what consultant would usually say is like, okay, there are plenty of trainings out there. Why don't you go and train yourself to speak in public, right?
No.
But that underlying belief is very different, that
Yeah.
it's rude to interrupt. So I don't know if it helps. Then you can reach out to your colleague, to mentor.
Yeah.
And then you say, okay, listen, it's hard for me to speak up. And then mentors say, every time it's hard for me to speak up in the, tense discussion.
Yeah.
I say, okay, let me jump in. And this is the key phrase, how I make the entrance, or how I mark my entrance. But yet again, the struggle is different. Then the same person can go to therapist and say, okay, I have this issue, blah, blah, blah. And then most probably, as classic suggests, what will happen is that therapist and the client, they will dig into the past, to the event which triggered this reaction, this response that she's blocked, she cannot do anything. If we would meet in the coaching session, then I would say, okay, so give me more examples how it feels, right? And then kind of through the series of questions, we would come to the point that she'll say, okay, I just think that it's really impolite to interrupt someone. And then instead of focusing on the surface behavior, which is I struggle to speak, we would immediately go deeper into what is politeness for her, what it stands, what it means, how she acts, how she interacts, right? And then we would go and craft the new behavior which would help her. Like in this particular case, we crafted and we trained the behavior shifting the environment. So instead of crowded room at the business forum, she was like at Sotheby's section. And I said, okay, you want, the jewel badly. What is it you are ready to do to get it? She's like, oh, everything. I'm like, tell me more. Like, everything. That sounds interesting. You were shy and now everything. So she was all of a sudden throwing scenarios out, saying, I would stand on the chair. I would raise my voice. I would raise my hand. All of that brevity there. And it's okay, let's take some learnings from the Sotheby's auction, bring it back to the setting which you experience all the time. And what is it you take with you?
Yeah.
So she adjusted that, and now she is a brilliant public speaker, which I'm very proud of.
That sounds like really nice, but through these practical examples and allegories and different experiences, you can find the perfect touch, how to bring this a positive benefit to the person, that they can immediately feel the improvement.
Exactly.
But then the question is because I open up, for example, LinkedIn, everyone's saying I'm a coach. I'm a coach these days. But then the question is how do you separate who's the professional, who's just a hobbyist? Okay, I decided I'm gonna be a coach today.
Nice title. Thank you.
Yeah.
Well, I think I will be reflecting a little bit about myself and my experience working as a coachee, because I had a coach in my professional career, and also how I was searching for my coach, but also how clients find me, right? So I think first and the foremost is education, right? That sets the base. The
credentials education.
Obviously. Yeah. So there is International Coaching Federation, which issues credentials to different institutions. So you can think INSEAD, which has the coaching certificate, and I'm participating in that currently. You can take any other state accredited university, right? Because in different countries, this ICF will be named differently. So you have to look out for that. Secondly, I think coach is not a coach without experience. Both private experience, meaning in professional career, and then also the experience of coaching people. So I have both. I've been, as you mentioned already in the intro, an athlete, so I can relate to any kind of tense environment. Then I've run companies as a CEO, both managing, transforming, scaling, downscaling, so I'm pretty aware how it works. Yeah. And then now I transitioned to coach with 10 years behind my back when I was coaching people, this is how it goes. And the third one would be, as I said, this 10 years, I think it leads us to skill. Coaching is not a science, let's be open about it. Coaching is a skill. So how do you master that skill? You have your individual supervision, you have group supervision, obviously you can do also therapy. So you have to make sure that what you bring into the session is serving your client, not you. So that's a very thin line there.
Okay, so it's like a mix, of course, education, business acumen, or also those soft skills, and just I would say also the X factor as well, that you can actually do it, because it sounds I could give you a recommendation to do something, but it takes a lot more to become someone who can really bring this positive difference to a person.
Yeah, I think that in the examples I gave you previously, right?
Yeah.
You have to be mindful. What is it you want?
Yeah.
If you want an advice, there is a consultant, right?
Yeah.
If you want professional guidance based on other people's experience, that's a mentor. If you want therapy, like a long-term healing, that's a therapy.
Yeah.
And if you want coaching, like fast result where you need a facilitator
Yeah.
of this process, this is what coaching is about.
Okay, but then like someone decides to go into this like coaching practice like as a client, like what's the magic how to say the magic ingredients that turns like a coaching session into something that's really practical, something that really gives you like the benefit, the positive change that everyone is probably looking for.
First and foremost, I think it's work where two people are involved.
Yeah.
So it's not a one-man show. It's not
Yeah.
like, oh, it's all on coach, she or he's gonna make it for
just
me, right?
Bring it to me.
Yeah, just bring it to me. Thank
I'm
you.
gonna sit here and
Yeah,
tell me what to do.
no. This is not how it works. So research suggests that it's like 40% is dependent on the coachee, on the person who is coming to coaching, right?
Yeah.
And then I think it's very important, kind of, not a skill, but a personal quality of the coachee is to be open to unlearn.
Yeah.
So whatever you knew before got you in the situation you're facing. So if you still want to be facing the very same situation in the very same way, sorry, I cannot help.
Yeah.
But if you are willing to kind of shift the dynamics and to be in another mind and state of mind to solve it with another approach, this is where I can definitely help.
So it's a two-way street.
Yeah.
Like you have to be willing to change, to actually change, and then you are there to like really facilitate it and find the right tools and things how you can like basically give this boost to the person so they can change. But then a question for me is like about your method, like grit and grace. Like how would you explain it? Like because of course you have all of these like credentials, everything, but it all boils down to like what's your approach, like what sets you apart.
I will answer shortly and then I will expand to elaborate on the point. So I think that the method of grit and grace is combining different coaching methods out there because typically a coach would be leaning towards one of the methods. However, leaders which come in today, be it owner, shareholder, on your leadership team, the environment they are facing is so dynamic that it's like they're not coming with linear requests. You just like work through that, and then out of sudden in the session something else swims up and something else swims up, and you need to be equipped for that. So grit and grace is about mixing methods and being equipped for whatever client brings. So now if we expand on that, basically there are four main models coaches operate on. First model would be grow. So grow is super tactical. So imagine you are coming, for example, to me and say, oh, Svet, I have this sales pitch tomorrow. Sweating, cannot get it done. And I would say, okay, so what's the goal tomorrow? You would say, okay, to deliver it, flawlessly. I say, okay, what flawlessly is for you? You would say, I don't want to rumble. I say, okay, why do you rumble? And then you would say, well, because I keep losing words. That's the issue. I say, okay, so how can you address that? And out of sudden you see, I can put text on the wall. I can have teleprompter. I can have so many scenarios there. So it's very laser focused, very tactical grow model. Then the second one would be behavioral cognitive. Let's imagine a not so rare situation where the shareholder, he's unhappy with founder who is also CEO because he reached his capacity as an expert. He needs to move on to let the company grow. So, and obviously this conversation is super tense and super loaded, right? And you don't go into this kind of conversations unprepared.
Of course.
So in behavioral cognitive approach, what we would do would sit in the role play. We would imagine how this meeting unfolds.
Just play out like different scenarios and
exactly.
so on.
We would feel it through. He would see, okay, where he falls short, where he needs to be a little bit more prepared and so on and so forth. And then he would walk out equipped for this, transition. Then another one would be, a PRO model, so person, role, organization. It typically happens and it typically helps when person moves from one organization to another. Like imagine yesterday you were in an organization which is super top-down, very sharp, direct, and now you're in agile world. Sounds nice, right? But then you're like,
Uh-oh.
Wow, feels scary, right?
Yeah.
But what you have in your mind is exactly what you did before. So you are still operating in this rigid
Same
environment.
operating system and just...
Absolutely,
yeah.
which doesn't work in the new world, right?
Yeah.
So what we would do in the session there, we would explore your perception of the role, there where you have been, and how it shifts to where you are. And we would link this to and change the perception. And the last one is therapeutically informed. So I think I've already gave you several examples where you bring me the surface behavior, we check what is underneath, really? Like with this CEO who wanted to fire COO, right? The underlying stuff was different than what he voiced.
Yeah.
And then we would work into creating new habits daily, which would help him to move on. Yeah. So 4 different methods: grit and grace, me, combining it all, also adding the scoop of experience in the different playgrounds I have. I think that's the essence.
Yeah, so it's about being adaptable, like to different situations, like because agile world requires agile solutions.
Yeah.
So.
But if we're talking about this word specifically, then
okay, the different meanings. Sorry, like
then grit.
No, it's the grit is like you have to be like on point. Like sometimes you gotta be tactical, sometimes you gotta be forward direct. Yeah. But then the grace also, like as you said, like the therapeutic approach and just like empathy and listening to someone and getting to really know what is the underlying issues. You said.
Yeah, because it's like coaching is not easy. Let's be honest here. Okay, it's hard.
Yeah.
So it's hard to see yourself from the angle you avoided, to face it, and then also kind of to accept it and decide what to do about it. Shit, that's a lot of things happening there, right? So if the space is not safe, if it's not empathetical, it's going to be super hard for you to work on that. So I also provide that in my sessions.
Then the question probably some of the viewers already have, like, okay, it sounds intriguing, but how do I know, like, okay, this is the right moment to look for, like, a coach or, like, to come to you and just like, okay, this is the moment you got to go and start really doing something. Of course, you already mentioned, like, you got to be ready to work, but, like, you probably already have some experience. Like, how do the clients usually approach you? Like, what's the like trigger?
Trigger point. That's favorite word of mine. Trigger point. I will start with my story, just reflecting here a little bit of how it went for me. So, across my career, there was one transition which was very hard. Because I was transitioning from the position of media manager into position of CEO of fintech startup. Yeah. Where fintech was buzzword, but nobody knew what was it, right? So it was super harsh because it was new industry, company in the startup, it has to be adjusted a little bit. And then I just understood that, I understand what needs to be done, but I'm just facing some feeling inside that I'm disoriented. So I reached out to coach, and basically she helped me a lot to rebuild the growth momentum for the company across 8 months, right? And this is how I felt, okay, this is something that really, truly works, and I want to be part of it. So this is how I started coach. Now, coming back to your question, I think it all starts with a feeling or sensation. Like in that situation I gave it was the feeling that, okay, it's like, okay, I'm happy about the promotion. This is typically what happens to a lot of people. I'm happy about something, but the decision is made. But there is a but. So if you're looking for a specific term, there is a but, and then it feels somehow interesting. So if this feeling and this but is about business-related stuff, coach is the right person to reach out to.
Okay, and when someone comes to you, like, what are the first questions? What are, like, how do you approach a person, like, who approaches you? Like, what's the process?
So it always starts with chemistry call, because as we kind of explored before, this is not one-way street, one-man show, blah, blah, blah. There are 2 of us in the process, right? So what I will be looking as a coach, if you're a coachee, I would be looking if you have motivation to do that, because very often what happens in corporate world is that you have your 360 and you are like, congrats, you have a coach, like, let's rock, right? And then the person there is like, not that I really need a coach, but fine, right? And then the result is not there. It's as simple as that. So motivation is one thing. Another thing is like how far you're able, open, and ready to go to face what you don't want to face.
Yeah.
Yeah. And if this works out, if both of us feel that, okay, we can work together, then we continue working either in the setup of one-off session, you know, this tactical stuff,
Yeah.
or in the more longer run, which would take 8 months to change the behavior. And then the trick is not about chemistry call and not about, you know, one-off or 8 months. It's because what really matters is what happens there when you exit the door. When you,
Of course,
when I'm
yeah.
not there, right? And then it's your job to do the homework. Like again, in the example, which was the first one, where the CEO replacement, it was purely his decision that, okay, I'm facing it, and the best decision for me to face it is to go on one-on-one with these people who I have difficulty to manage, right?
Yeah.
And then he went in, he was courageous enough,
Yeah.
and, you know, the reward was there.
Yeah, and so if someone passes like the test, like this two-way street, as you said, like that, okay, you have the chemistry, you feel like, okay, this is a person who's ready to work. Then what comes next? Like, what's the structure? How does the process continue? Like,
You mean an individual setting?
yeah, individual setting.
So I think there are like 3 ways we can go about it. First thing which we can do is a quick check. So there are a lot of tools which will help you to nail down like where you stand. One tool which I'm using is Lumina Spark, which is psychographics test, which really shows you different personas, and it's really interesting to see what is driving you and what is not you, and what is it you are not using. So that's a quick check.
Yeah.
Then a tactical session, as I said, the course of session, or I can also help to craft the personal strategy, because sometimes, you know, you've been rocking and rolling in the same way for a long, long time.
Yeah.
And at some point, you just need to stop and rethink, is this way the one you choose, or you are just there because it's so comfortable?
Yeah. And then thinking like from a C-suite level perspective, like of course for a lot of people is like, where's the ROI? Like, what do I get out of this? Because
Numbers,
like,
give me numbers.
give me the numbers. Like, what do I get out of it? And in that sense, do you also have an answer for that? Because of course the emotional thing is one. But like someone is always looking to
to nail down the profit. I've been there.
Yeah.
I think asking question like that is the same thing as going to the, you know, to the coach in the gym and say, listen, I never did sports before. Athletics is not my thing. 24 hours till marathon. Okay, that's your task. And good luck to the coach who signs up for that, because he is either risking the client health or he is just not a coach at all, right?
No.
So with the coaching, I think it's about the result which follows. Like one of the examples would be the coach, he says, okay, I was working towards this promotion so hard, blah, blah, blah. And then during the session, we find out that it's her mentor who wanted this promotion badly. This is not her dynamics. This is not her wish. So once she saw that, she's like, actually, I want to build up my own company. And this is what she goes and does, right? Another case would be the founder, which is like, I have to do it 24/7. There is no other way, only me and no one else. So we dig up that he actually has a delegation skill issue. So once he was able to work on that and delegate most part of his tasks, then, you know, he suddenly launched 5 new businesses. So it's about this long-term impact rather than, okay, I paid you, I don't know, this amount, what comes next? But if you want number, the research suggests, you know, our old good research.
I knew you have a number.
Always. Business environment, you know, obliges you to have one. So it will be in ratio from 6 to 1, right? The one amount you invest, the 6 times greater the result you get.
I like that number.
Who wouldn't, right?
Yeah, but okay, we've talked a lot about individuals. Then the question is like, are you also working with teams or bigger organizations, and how does that look like? Because okay, for me, I can imagine myself in this one-to-one scenario, but how does it look with the whole team? Like,
So first and foremost, I believe that people run organizations. Okay, it's like, not numbers run people, but people run numbers. And numbers are as good as interaction between these people in the organization. So what I typically would do, I would come in, check the kind of structure, the interaction between people, then I would look into numbers, there will be some mismatch, I will suggest some correction for that, you know, and off we go.
Yeah. Do you have like, because it's always, how to say, easier to understand it, like do you have like an example of working like with an organization? Because for me it's like I understand one-to-one, but the organizational principles sound like...
because it's organizational dynamics, it's a little bit more complex, you're right. So the way I approach it, I mean, from my practice, I mentioned that I was in the fintech, right? And I moved to this area, and it's not a secret that I've stayed there for quite long.
Yeah.
So in fintech, what is typical? It's like you grow a lot, and you grow very fast.
Yeah.
So that was the case of one of the companies I looked at and I helped at. And the shareholder said, okay, listen, we were growing like 200% year on year, which is massive, right?
It
you
is
can
massive,
imagine that. And then at some point, the growth just stopped.
Yeah. Everyone's then scratching their head.
Yeah, and it's like, something is wrong there, right? And then what happened was the team was still running on all scenarios, but nothing changed. I said, okay, let me look into it. So what I did in the first step, I took all the organization and turned it into feedback loop. So what I did, I talked to shareholder, to the CEO, to the C-suite, and then to the whole of the team. We did run a survey. And then we immediately saw that, guys, it's interesting that you are a team consisting out of multiple teams. And it seems like all these teams are not interconnected. So that was the first aha moment. Then I looked into P&L, as I like numbers ROI, right, as we checked. So what happened there was that P&L was solid, but then I asked to flip it. I said, okay, show me which team runs which part. And then there were huge blocks which were left out. Nobody was responsible. And as you nicely know from your business experience, it's like if no one is responsible, that's it. This is where the margin, exactly, this is where the margins sing, right? And then I just said, okay, every team runs for itself. P&L doesn't have ownership in some parts. Obviously, there was some misalignment because they were just running too fast and margin was covering up for this mistake. So what we did, we crystallized one aim, one goal, then we cascaded it into KPIs, and then we introduced routines to make companies and teams in the company sync. So they were syncing, aligning, and they were moving fast, so they regained their momentum. And if I remember correctly, they were even able to increase their share by 10% from where they stood, where we started to work together.
So it sounds like also like some of the methods, something that's like scalable as well. In that sense, it's very interesting always to hear about your examples from your coaching experience. And it was very valuable to me. Like I hope that to the viewers as well, because like I finally got answers to all of my questions. And so thank you, Sveta. It's like, always such a pleasure to meet you. And
thank you guys. And if you need some clarity individually or organizational level, I'm here, reach out and let's work together. Thank you.
Thank you.